This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin Hoffman.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Today is Monday, March the 11th, 2024. Just a few short days left of the winter season. Of course, today being in the mid-70s in the capital city doesn't feel like winter, but of course, we're not quite across the finish line yet. Coming up a little later on in the program, we're going to talk with Stu Swanson, first vice president of the Iowa Corn Growers Association, about an award that Toyota got, and also find out what's going on in his neck of the woods and why it's important for farmers to be members of an organization like Iowa Corn. But first, let's kick things off with a check of the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
We're at the end of another trading day, and it's time to talk with Tyler Schau of agmarket.net. And Tyler, starting off a new week, what did we see in those grain markets?
Saw some major moves to the downside earlier. I shouldn't say major, but some pretty hefty selling. Corn was 7-8 cents off of its close from Friday. Wheat actually at one point early this morning was down, took out some new lows in the Chicago contract in May. And soybeans kind of struggled all day. So kind of a weird day today. Corn's going to end up closing positive. Wheat's going to actually do really well, about 25 cents off its lows. So just a lot of stuff. The market's still digesting, still dealing with those really big short positions in all the grains, really, from the managed money crowd.
Yeah, we know that the report coming out on Friday, WASDE was, I wouldn't necessarily call it bearish, but it definitely wasn't bullish either, was it?
No, it was a pretty neutral report. You know, some people are trying to take away the fact that USDA still really didn't do anything with Brazilian yields, either corn or soybeans. You know, they're still at like 155 metric ton on soybeans. It's expected that you know, the official number out of Brazil is probably going to be at that 147. So about an 8 million metric ton difference between where the USDA is and probably where a lot of people feel it should be. They're going to continue to slow roll that. You know, I doubt they're going to come out in the April WASDE and say, oh, yeah, we were off by 8 billion bushels, and all of a sudden they're going to print a 147. They'll probably continue to bring it down 1 or 2 million metric ton at a time. But that was really I mean, other than that, there's just not a lot of changes. Pretty blah report for the most part. And I would say probably the most amazing thing to me right now is last, I think it was Wednesday, you know, Chicago wheat got blasted, was down 30 cents, I believe, at one point. And all of a sudden, late in the day, we started getting rumors that China was coming in and canceling some of those massive SRW purchases that they made earlier this winter. And then Thursday, we got the first official flash report from the USDA. Friday, we got another one. Today, we got another one that was even bigger. It's over 500,000 metric ton that they've canceled within the last 3 trading days. And yet now you've got a pretty big reversal in the wheat market and up 10 at 547 in Chicago. And maybe some signs, you know, maybe that's that point where you hear people say a lot that to get a rally in a bear market, you got to basically run out of bad news. And maybe we finally run out of bad news there.
Well, I'll definitely have to wait and see how that plays out. But switching gears over to the livestock side of things, they weren't able to end the week on a positive note really last week. How did they start out Monday?
Pretty quiet day today. You know, your feeders, basically all the proteins were down. Feeders were down about $1 across the board. Fat cattle unchanged in April, down slightly in June and the summer contracts. Hogs down about $1 in April and 75 cents in some of the deferred contracts. Really just pretty slow news day. You know, I still remain a little, I don't want to say perplexed, but cash values have been creeping higher in the fat cattle market. They're searching, numbers are getting smaller, kills are getting smaller, but cash is going up. And usually that doesn't happen. Usually when the kills get smaller, cash goes down. and that throttle right now anyhow isn't working for the Packers. So it'd be interesting to see how this plays out.
And, talking about cattle, even we know about the situation in Texas. We talked about during Commodity Classic how it was, the wildfires the size of Maine, which in Texas is not that huge, but it's still a big, massive implication. And we hear about all the loss of cattle. I mean, how much of an effect is that going to have on the marketplace, especially as we're looking at trying to rebuild herds from culling just a couple years ago?
Yeah, I think it's similar to if you recall, I think it was 2016, 2017, there was a massive blizzard in western South Dakota that wreaked havoc early in the fall. And, the feeder calf market really didn't respond for about 8 or 9 months. So I think you're probably going to see the same thing. We're really not going to feel the effects of that for quite some time. That's unfortunate, especially unfortunate for the producers that lost animals. But, the market's going to take some time to adjust for those lower numbers. I just don't see the short-term impact really driving prices right at this moment. But you're right. We're already dealing with low cow supplies. There was a lot of cows that most likely died in that area, and that's just going to be even fewer breeding animals, fewer calves coming out next year, and just making numbers even tighter. That's not necessarily what the cattle market needs.
All right. Well, if folks want to talk markets and talk strategies with all of you at agmarket.net, what's the easiest way for them to get in touch, Tyler?
Check out the website, agmarket.net. There's a contact page. You can look up our brokers, find one near you.
All right. Well, Tyler, thanks so much for the insight. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Thanks, Dustin. Good talking to you.
And that again was Tyler Schau of agmarket.net. Let's run down the closing numbers. Those come to us courtesy from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network market screen.
At the close, May corn was up 2 at 441 3/4. Soybeans down 4 3/4 at 1179 1/4. Soy meal down $4.20 at 337.20. Soy oil up 47 cents at 46.64. Chicago wheat up 9 1/2 at 547 1/4. Kansas wheat up a dime at 598 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat up 7 1/4 at 670 even, and oats up 8 cents at 370 3/4. On the Merc, live cattle unchanged at 187.60. Feeders down 95 cents at 248.25. Lean hogs down $1.10 at 83.27. Pork cutouts unchanged at 92.20. And Class 3 milk was 8 cents lower at 16.49.
And that's been a check of our market recap. We're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association, along with the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, we talk with Iowa farmer Stu Swanson. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to AMPM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. Well, we were down in Commodity Classic a little over a week ago in Houston, Texas, and we had the chance to talk with many Iowa farmers who were in attendance, one of those being Stu Swanson, the first vice president of the Iowa Corn Growers Association. And I asked him how things were going in his neck of the woods as he farms up by Galt.
The weather certainly has been interesting this winter, and really for the last 3 years in the southeast part of Wright County, we bounced between D2 and D3. So we're looking forward to some moisture coming in, hopefully this spring, giving us an opportunity to rebound on some of the yield impacts we've seen during that drought time.
Also, Toyota was honored by the National Corn Growers Association with the Friend of Corn Award. And I asked Swanson why it was important to recognize a company like Toyota.
Yeah, so this morning at our delegate session, Toyota received the Friend of the Corn Industry Award. And it is an award that we give to people that have been great partners with the corn industry. So Toyota has stood firm on the belief that there is a market for liquid fuels within the auto industry, and specifically ethanol in a hybrid form of an electric ethanol-powered liquid fuels car. They talked this morning about that even though Toyota does produce electric vehicles, they see the market kind of peaking out at about an 8% adoption rate. And the majority of their customers, and including corn farmers from across the country, support what they're finding is that they look for that hybrid vehicle that may be in a 30 to 40 mile range. They can utilize the electric portion of that, but they still want the ability to pull into a gas station, fuel up with an ethanol, an E15 blended fuel that can take them 200 or 300 or 400 miles away. So they have been willing to challenge some of the things that have come from the administration in form of a mandate that the administration was looking at in terms of electrifying all vehicles. And so they were one of the few producers of cars that immediately found a partnership with Corn in things that we can do to work together.
Swanson says they would like to build on that relationship with other car companies as well.
Absolutely, and we want to work with the other partners in the automotive industry, whether that's over-the-road trucking, whether that's passenger cars, light-duty trucks. We think that there's a potential for ethanol, biofuels to play in all of those markets, and it's part of our long-term goals and mission of what we're doing at Iowa Corn.
Of course, the whole premise of Commodity Classic is also from farmers all over the country coming to talk about the things that are concerning them. And I asked Swanson why it was important for them to be involved with an organization like Iowa Corn.
Yeah, as you sit in the tractor and you feel all alone every year, you wonder who's out there listening for you. And the great thing for a minor investment in a membership is that the organization works for me on a daily basis. And knowing that I can bring forward one idea and it can go all the way from a tractor seat in Galt, Iowa to Washington, D.C. via the organizations and the policies that they adopt. It just makes me feel good, like we're valuable, that people are listening, and I get a big amount of enthusiasm being part of that.
All right. Well, is there anything you want to add for our Iowa followers here today?
No, I just encourage you to participate in the organization. Memberships can be purchased at iowacorn.org, and just take advantage of everything that's there to learn, to engage, and to help drive with the future of the corn industry.
And that again was Iowa Corn Growers Association First Vice President Stu Swanson. And that's going to be the end of AMPM for today. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com. Also, don't forget about our free market podcast through Google, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Andy Peterson, Mark Magnuson, and Riley Smith, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.